So then the next question is, why not do this alone? Why would I want to join someone else in doing such a thing? If I can do this on my own, if I can build my own course, then why don't I just do that? Well, here are some examples of reasons why you want to do this as a group or want to join with people such as the Nycos Launchpad people. Our crowd is really about growing everyone's objectives. It's mainly for this. If you are involved in things in your life and you have a success, if you're doing it alone, there's no one that's going to tell you you're doing a good job. You're not going to get the affirmation or the feeling of knowing that you're accomplishing without having someone else that can acknowledge it. And in the case of a launchpad group, what I call a team play group, you have the collective that are going to be your cheerleaders. They're going to be as happy for your successes as you are, because it's going to validate their very processes as well. Now, I'm not saying this in a way of anybody profiting off of anybody else's successes. That's not what I'm referring to. There's no hierarchy of return of investment or anything like that. All I'm talking about is that if we're all playing the same game, we're all seeing the same obstacles, and we can help each other overcome them. That means that our struggles can be shared. I got a typo there. That's awful. Can't believe that. There we go. A live on-screen editorial change. Yes, your successes and struggles can be shared. If something is going dynamically wrong, perhaps mentioning it to someone else will give you a new perspective. Maybe you'll hear some advice. Maybe just simple acknowledgement of it can actually help. I know that in many cases, when I have a difficulty, just stating the difficulty to the universe seems to be somewhat advantageous, because inevitably somebody comes along and helps. One of my grandfather's favorite jokes is that if you ever get lost in the woods, make sure you took with you a deck of playing cards, because all you need to do if you are ever lost is just sit down in the forest and start playing solitaire, because as you're playing along, eventually someone's going to come along and tell you put the 10 over on the jack so you can move the 9, and then you can ask for directions. Okay, so I know it's just a joke, but the idea here is that the sharing of the struggle itself can be cathartic and also can help trigger a solution within ourselves. Not only that, a community that is working together towards advancement will evolve. Perhaps there will be those that come into the organization or into the community that are the rookies, but because they're dedicated to the process and moving rapidly through it, they soon become the very trainers or helpers for those that are have been struggling for a longer period of time. The idea, therefore, is that the community evolves as the players join. The more personnel that are involved in the decision-making process, the more effective the decision-making process is, and the more useful perspectives become available. This also means that your tasks can be handled together. Maybe there's something that you're working on that 3 other people are working on. This is, I think, one of the effective purposes for discussions like weight loss or dietary changes or improved physicality. The idea that we can overcome the challenges because other people are facing the same ones, and we can build up a better understanding of how to resolve it. Personal goals can be expanded, because as you find out that you're not the only one who's trying to, say, help with the homeless situation, or you're wanting to help with providing food to people with difficulties, you're able to therefore step in and start to take possession of those larger goals by sharing the smaller goals with other people to where it becomes a larger one. And this communal process also tends to give more fuel to the fire, more enthusiasm and excitement to the advance that persons are making as they are moving towards this objective. And it also ties into the very concept of the play of the game, because when we are working on a team, we automatically feel the competitive nature start to rise up, and perhaps we're both working on the same thing, but then we become challenged to do as much or more, or do things differently or faster or whatever. And this competition, this co-opetition, if you will, the cooperation within the competition, starts to create the more dense feeling of being involved in the game. One of the things that I find particularly interesting is the essence of the Paraclete. In the biblical tense, there is the description of the Holy Spirit, and it is at least in one place in Scripture, I think it's in Romans, it's referred to as the Paraclete, a Greek word that means one who walks beside us. And the idea here is that if we are on our way to a goal and we've shared the goal with other people on our team, and we have explained why this goal is important and how we can assist others through it, then suddenly we've got people that can walk alongside of us. You're getting there. You're attempting it. We're with you, and therefore you get this stronger feeling of the community that arguably religious groups fight for all the time. They're looking for this concept of unity. And if we are playing a uniform game and that we are all part of, and we're playing at our own speeds and we're playing with our own objectives, we have the ability, therefore, to cross those lines from time to time and engage with those who are perhaps not on the same, not exactly on the same goal path as us, but they certainly are playing the same game. This also will open us, once we start to hear about other people's activities and the things that they are pursuing, we can start to see how our gifts and talents might be explored in working with them towards their objectives. Perhaps a person that we are talking with needs some of the things that we have as our natural skills, and we have the opportunity to step in and assist them. And of course, there's going to be some give and take, some quid pro quo, some affiliation or association that will ultimately assist us in reaching our goals and along the way. Now, this isn't meant to sound so much as a socialistic system where we are giving according to our abilities and taking according to our needs. Far from it. Instead, we are all endeavoring to become the best of who we are, to fulfill our character roles, and in the process fulfill other people's objectives as well. So just think of it as a way of exploring what you might be able to do in ways that you might not have considered before. If we do these things, we start to find the barriers between us dissolving, because the places where we don't agree tend to fall away in favor of the places where we do agree. And I know that there are a lot of subjects out there that I could point to and I could get counseled for in the world today because of positions that either I am holding now or have held in the past. And these points of difference start to dissolve when we realize that we're really all playing the same game. We are all living the same world. We don't have a special lane that'll take us out of the game. We have to play the game with everyone else. Furthermore, this very idea of sharing, particularly when we're talking about sharing in vulnerabilities, we lead ourselves to understanding. It wasn't until the loss of my daughter in 1997 in a car accident that I began to understand so many different topics were not important. There were so many things that I considered absolutely essential to life that after her passing didn't mean a whit. And it took a long time to come to grips with that, I'll be honest. But the barriers will dissolve once we're all playing. I know that this is true because it's fundamentally how I was able to adapt and survive after that loss, as well as the loss of my marriage and the loss of the extended family, et cetera, that occurred in the tailings of that devastating loss in 1997. But these barriers that dissolve give us openings and the ability to begin understanding. And this sharing of the vulnerabilities leads to understanding, because we see how many other people are engaged in life, hitting exactly the same boundaries and barriers, but in a different way. And seeing the juxtaposition helps us to build our own domino wall, as I said before, and I'll talk more about that next week. Domino wall that will lead us away from this devastating loss towards our inevitable success. And I say inevitable, and you'll understand more as we go along, but the idea and the potential is that we build the idea of our character that we were wanting to build towards, and we begin to role play as if we are going there, because in doing so, we start to develop the mindset, the energy level, and the enthusiasm that we need to be at to actually live that new life. And this really leads to an essential thing that I don't know if I can share sufficiently in a short video like this, but confidence can be contagious. I know that I am going to be achieving. I know that I've got my goal on what I want to accomplish, and I'm going to be sharing that over time. And as I move towards it, I'm going to be bringing you with me, because I know that your lives can change in the same way, because I've been playing for 50 years. I've made it this far. I've got levels of joy that are unparalleled. Nobody can touch it. And the reality is that getting here, getting to this place of acceptance, understanding, and awareness of others it's staggering. It's not some place that I would have ever gotten to had I not faced the challenges that I did. And then ultimately, all of this comes down to safety and security is in numbers. When we're all playing the same game, how can we become adversarial? We're playing the same game. Yes, we can be upset if somebody is ahead of us in the winner or loser categories, but remember, those are subjective, and we choose which one of those we want to honor or hold valuable. And if we're holding somebody else's success as something to strive for, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because then it gives us the impetus to drive ourselves forward, which even they would agree is a good thing to get us moving in the right direction. So I'm going to calm down, because I get to this point and kind of begin to get excited and lose my focus. So before we get there, I do want to thank you all for being here for this episode of NycosRPG and the Nykos Launchpad. I hope that there's been some pieces of this that have been helpful to you. I want to thank you for the time you spent with us. If you like what you see, make sure you follow us here, and also check out our channel at YouTube. That link will be placed on the website below. I believe it's already there. And if you check out our website check out our YouTube page, make sure you give us a subscribe and a like over there. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps to get the word out to others. In the meantime, I want to thank you again for being here on Twitch, and let me share with you our quick contact page. If you want to know more about the Nykos product line, check out NycosRPG.com. That has product info and the information on how to purchase our merchandise. We also have NycosRPG.info, which is the story, lore, and so much more that you can pursue to find out more about the world of Nykos and the adventures that we run on a weekly basis. You'll also want to check our Discord, and that's down below. You can join us and communicate with me directly and become part of our community. And for more information on how to become an actual participant in the world of Nykos, check out patreon.com/join/Nykos, NYCOS, and we will see you join and be part of our community in the future. I want to thank you again for your time, and have a great night.